Question: is your credit card your emergency fund? Back in a minute. Hi, this is Jan from New York City, and my channel name is Jan from New York City Saves Money. With me today, I have a very special guest today. Hey, Steve, this is Steve Young from the Steve Young 74 channel. How you doing today, Steve?
Oh, I'm all right. I'm doing okay.
Oh, good. Thanks so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it. Steve, actually, I have a question for you, and we could get into it. Should a person's credit card be their emergency fund?
No. And why do I say that? Okay. Why would I? Okay. First off, emergency fund, which means you are low on money. You have to have a means in order to get money from some source. Why would I want to go to a credit card and borrow money off of that or use it as an emergency fund? You have one little itty bitty problem. Well, it can be more than itty bitty if you're not careful. But you have one problem. If you use money from a credit card as an emergency fund and you have to pay it back, what good is that going to do? Because now you're going to have a bill that's going to come due and you have no way of paying it back.
That's right.
Okay.
That's 100% right, Steve. And that's where discretionary spending comes in handy. You have to forgive this phone ringing. What I'm going to do is disconnect it. There you go. Sorry about that, but this is real life. A lot of people, Steve, have literally, you're not even going to believe this story, but I've had a couple of people literally take out their wallets, right? And brag to me, showing that they had a whole slew of credit cards. And I kind of like chuckled to myself. I'm like, what are you trying to like prove? I mean, that you can, let's say the person has 7 credit cards, that you could get into 7 times the possibility of going into severe credit card debt. I'm not getting the bragging part. You know what I'm saying? What's the bragging part there?
Well,
Doesn't make sense.
if you go back to a recent video I did not too terribly long ago, I had put up a video about balance transfers, and within that video, I thoroughly explained, one, a credit card is only a tool. It's to help you get by in an emergency. And now I notice how the word emergency comes up, but this applies differently, and I'll explain. If you need groceries and it's between paydays, if your car happens to need repairs on it or something goes wrong, you don't have the money on you at that given time, but you will, say, a few days later or a week later. That type of emergency is different than an emergency fund. Two different things. I just want to clarify because the word emergency is in there. But it's a short-term thing. A credit card was never designed to go into credit card debt for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. It was never designed to be used in that light. For those that do use it in that light, has a very bad addiction to a credit card. That's the way I look at it. But
Yes.
it is a short term. It is a tool. It's a helping hand to help you get through tough times. And then when you do have the funds to go in, pay it off. Done deal.
I like how you distinguished like your, let's say, garden variety emergency. You go into the grocery store, in about a week and a half, you pay the whole thing. You're ready to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when people think, oh no, that's my $2,000 in case my car breaks down, big time. Oh no, no, it's a disaster.
But if you do have an emergency fund or some money set aside when a situation arises or you need to tap into it, that is a different story. That's
Yes.
a different story if you have the money set aside, saved up. And I think everybody should have roughly an 8-month emergency fund because we don't know from one minute to the next what can occur, what can happen, especially with times like now. We are in a very bad inflation. Um, I don't think I've seen an inflation anything like we're dealing with now. I don't. The last time I remember one might have been. I could be going out on a limb here, but the last one I remember might have been in the early 90s. I definitely know you had an inflation in the early 80s. I know you did have one inflation back in the 80s. That one I kind of remember, but keep in mind, I also came from overseas after my father retired from the military and I came over here. So I think I might have come in maybe 2/3, 3/4 of the way through that recession or
Yes. I think you are definitely in the ballpark. But here's the thing, Steve, the same rules apply. We're going to switch gears for a second to leaky wallet syndrome. And,
Mhm.
just the way we talk about food stockpiling and this and all that. I think I read a startling thing regarding emergency funds before I forget. Only 43% of the population in America have enough to cover to have saved $2,000 in emergency funds. That's startling. That is absolutely startling. What that's telling me is that a lot of people are probably regarding their credit cards as their emergency funds.
Again, red flag. Don't do that.
No.
Um, that is not the answer. I will give you a tip that might work. Look, and I've mentioned it before. And do keep in mind, I've got years of experience with flea market sales with my mom and dad. Did it for about 12 or 13 years. I know about Craigslist and things like that. I know about eBay. I did that for quite a few years. Look around your house. Is there a few things that you could put up for sale that is no longer of any use to you, of no value? Take that. Most people have internet. Take that item and run it for sale, or items, and put it up for sale.
That's right.
You might earn three, four, $500. It all depends on what you have for sale and how many items and within itself you decide to put up for sale. That would be another good way to um, put some money in your pocket if you don't have it.
And to
Look,
begin to build your emergency fund, Steve, name it and claim it. I
yeah,
think that's brilliant. I really do. How many things people have just sitting around, literally collecting dust? Like
that's
they're just like looking at it, like what value? It has no value if you're not using it.
that's what I'm implying. Yes, if it's no good, it's sitting around your place. You had it untouched for about a year, 8 months, a year and a half. You need to move it. You need to just part ways with it.
So
But
true.
this was something that came up in conversation, and I hate to feel like I'm putting her on the spot when I say this. I am not. If it's something that I have that is of no use to me now that I could sell, but let's say down the road, if I ever wanted to purchase that item back, I could. And talking to my sister during the holidays, sorry that I have to mention her, but and I'm not calling her out in any way. She says, when you sell something, um, why would you want to buy that back? She had a hard time understanding that. Well, there are a few items that at my current situation I don't need. It's no use to me at the moment. But that's not saying down the road, if I could get my hands on another one, if it's available in good working condition, um, why couldn't I just repurchase the item again? Um, Example, I've talked about it in the past, and our audience is familiar with this item because of their age bracket. I have I have a reel to reel that you use in a stereo system. It's of no use to me at the moment, but I could sell it. I know what its value is. Why couldn't I just take it, sell it, and possibly, down the road, if I wanted to purchase it back again, why couldn't I do that? Who's to say I couldn't find one that's in better working condition than the one I have?
I see what you're saying, keeping your options open because you may be in a season where you need to sell something because you need to get a hold of some money, or then the seasons change and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I could get this desired thing back, maybe at a better price and with more doodads on it. I get that. Keeping your options open. That's very good.
But again, my sister, she had a hard time understanding why would you want to buy an item back again? Well,
Yeah, it could happen that way. Misinterpretation of something. I just want to mention to the folks, Steve was, we've been friends here for a few years, and I would go to talk shift gears for a second, not too long, just for about wallet leaking. Why am I mentioning wallet leaking? The wallet leakers are the things that prevent you from keeping your money in your pocket or named and claimed
mhm,
desired saving goals.
mhm.
Okay. So Steve is my witness. There was that time when either I would order it in or pick it up. These pre-made bagels outside with cream cheese because it just tastes so much better because a stranger put it together. And of course, you have to have some leaded coffee to go with it and everything. And this was like $4 here, $3 there. But it wasn't just an occasional thing; it was an everyday thing. And I was doing it to the tune that when I did the math, my hair stood up, and we're talking about multiple hundreds of dollars going down the drain that could have gone to another fund. I could have easily toasted my own bagel. I could have easily just have been happy with my little instant coffee, which I totally am. So you see, you live and you learn. It was like a mindless purchase. And Steve, you had mentioned a few mindless purchases you might have made at some point.
Well, yes, it's been maybe a couple of years. I don't do it anymore. I I have a really good friend. I've lost touch with him, but we spoke just briefly on Instagram. He looked me up, and I had this good friend of mine. I still think a lot of him as a person, and you know, and I would meet up with him about 4 or 5 times each morning, and we used to like to meet up at the Dunkin' Donuts. I would go through and get a large coffee and a donut. Those large coffees were running me $2.57 a coffee. Now, let me do the math here because I've done this before, but I don't know the exact figure. So 257 times 5. That's $12.85 worth of coffee that I just bought in a 5-day period. Now,
Wow.
it would have been, I don't do it anymore. It would have been easier for me to just go to the store and buy, if I want Dunkin' Donuts coffee, I can just go to the store, pay a little bit less than $12, get a bag of Dunkin' Donuts original or whatever variety I want. Um, I do have a percolator, which makes the best coffee in the world.
Not
I
kidding.
can just make my own coffee right here, fix it the way I want, and save all. Look how many. Think about a 12 or a 11, 12-ounce bag of Dunkin' Donuts. Think about how many cups of coffee I can brew versus the one or versus the five I would get in a 5-day period.
So true. Not to mention the gasoline price of driving to these places.
Um, Actually, for me to drive to Dunkin' Donuts where I was staying at the time was go out of where I was, go across, make a right, go about a quarter of a mile, if that, take a left, and I was there. So it was literally a hop skip.
Oh, okay. You were lucky there.
But I do know what you mean, though. If you sometimes in some cases, yeah, you're going to have to you'll drive a 3, 4, 5 miles one way just to get there. I do get that.
And
But
gas prices were better then when you were doing that too.
yeah, probably in the $2 range,
Oh
more
yeah.
affordable.
Yeah.
Instead of $3.99 or $3.89, whatever you have now. So
Well, Steve, I want to just talk about your channel before anything else. Okay, so for those who've never seen Steve's channel, I highly recommend you go there. His is of a random nature, but you are going to find plenty of times you might find some discussions on stockpiling. Many times I'm on his Saturday afternoon show, his Saturday afternoon chat. Steve has an independent show called Recipe Tuesday, like clockwork, 6 o'clock in the morning. Wonderful recipes. Just saying. He has a Thursday afternoon show. So I'm going to drop his links with some of his videos in the description box below. So don't forget to head over there if you've not done so already.
yeah.
Steve, thanks. You have anything you want to add to this?
Not really. I've
Okay.
pretty much,
You covered. Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you. I'm going to look now for the outro, and we'll be back with a wave. Be right back. Have an amazing, fantastic remainder of your weekend. Don't forget to check out Steve's channel.
Yeah.
Take good care now. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.